Hey there peoples, I'm the Motorcycle Mick, and today we're taking a look at the Milwaukee 8 power band and torque curve and what the difference is and how they affect you. My other hand's not free because I have my helmet in my hand. Not wearing my normal riding attire, but it's gonna be a quick little trip once we get to that point to kind of explain to you what it is. But if you are new to the channel, watching for a very long time, hit that subscribe button down below. If you do like my content, watch my content. If you like it, hit that subscribe button. Leave a big thumbs up and hit that bell icon to be notified when I upload my videos. I upload new videos every Tuesday around 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I do a live stream every Thursday. We are taking a look at this right here. This girl, this beautiful girl. Specifically this motor right here. That is a Milwaukee 8 114 or the Milwaukee 8 107. We're not getting into 117s and 131s because I don't want to. It's gonna defeat the purpose of what I'm trying to do. Specifically, my bike is a stage 1. A stage 1 motorcycle is one that has an exhaust, an intake, and a tune. As standard for Harley-Davidsons, this one's actually really quick. I like to call this a real stage 1. Norseman likes to call it 1.5. I don't know why. I mean, it does have power. Too many people buy this bike and think it doesn't have enough power. I feel like they don't know how to ride it. And that's why we're talking about power bands and the torque curve and the differences between them and why that affects you while riding your Milwaukee 8. There's been a lot of people putting cams in these bikes because they say it's what you need to be able to outrun things and other bikes. And I think that's a load of crap. Having to spend that kind of money to be able to be faster is a bit ridiculous. Most people are going with Harley torque cams, or I guess the S&S ones, which are good cams, don't get me wrong. The problem with them is that they are not gonna help you if everything else isn't done properly to the bike. Yeah, you might add some horsepower and some torque to your bike. You need to learn how to ride your motorcycle first. And I know that might sound as an insult to some, but it's not. It's not meant to be an insult, just some people may not understand how the Milwaukee 8 works. And we'll get more to that once we're on the bike. We're gonna take a little trip, quick trip, just to kind of put that point down. But first off, let's talk about torque cams and how they affect the motorcycle. As a stage 1 or stage 2 at that point, once you put a torque cam in there, the torque cam is going to give the bike more torque. So as soon as you hit that throttle, you're going to feel it putting you back, and that's what a torque cam does. Adds some more torque to the bike. Doesn't really do much for the horsepower. I mean, it adds some horsepower, don't get me wrong, it does, but it's not going to help you in the long run if you're trying to produce a balanced, quick, fun bike. Let's look at actually what torque curves and power bands are. So what you just witnessed was the power band. All right, every motorcycle has this. That is where the bike is going to go under power. It's when it's going to start pulling. Now there's points in there, so if I was to slow down, it might sound like the bike is hitting its limit right about here, maybe even more. So on the soft tails, especially the Milwaukee 8 Heritage with the 114, it's probably about the same for the 107s. I've ridden them before. Have a power band that is after about 25 to 2800. So at 2800 RPMs, your bike might sound like it's hitting its power limits. And I know people that understand how to ride are gonna give me crap about it for like, oh well, everyone knows that. Well, not everyone does. It's something that's nice to explain to people that don't really understand these bikes before they start throwing all this money at it to gain power when they already have it. So this is a PSA to help people, prevent people from spending a bunch of money. Now this bike, like I said, is a stage 1. I have a 2-in-1 exhaust from Danmoto. I've got a ventilator air cleaner and a tuner. But I'll explain with the power band right now. I'll let you listen to it. So right about here, it sounds like the bike is like hitting its limit. And then it hits its power band, which means the bike starts waking up and pulling. That's when it's getting under power. So anything before that is going to have power, and you're going to feel that off the line. You're going to feel the torque off the line. But when you hit your power band, you're really going to know because the bike will start pulling and it's creating the power. The torque curve that we talked about earlier is basically on a dyno what tells you how much torque your motorcycle has overall, and most of the time those are in the least resistance on the wheel on the bike, and that's when they're going to do that pull, and it's going to give you your highest numbers of torque. So the torque curve is basically, ooh, that's a nice Porsche. So basically the torque curve is just telling you how much overall torque your motorcycle has. The power band is where you're going to use it. red line. This bike goes up to 6,200. I can easily cruise at 90 miles an hour down the expressway in 4th or 5th gear with the tune and everything on this bike without having to spend all the money to put a cam into it. I just put an exhaust and intake and a tune. Now there's a lot of actual benefit to the wheels and the tires when you go into looking at the power bands. That's where it's key with the Milwaukee 8s, that you understand where it's at and you learn it, because the power band might change a little bit based on your environment, because the different heats, the different airs, the different humidities are gonna take and put your bike in different levels of processing the fuel to create the burn that gives you the power. And when you have more moisture in the air or less oxygen in the air, the bike's going to burn differently and the power band's going to change. In certain cases, it can be drastically, like if you're riding through the mountains. If you ride your bike gingerly, you can hear it right there. You can hear the bike sounds like it wants to hit its limit and it wants you to shift. But it's not. The bike doesn't want you to shift because it's getting into power. That's where it's happy, that's where it has fun. These Milwaukee 8s have a lot of power to them. All it takes is a little bit of time and effort and research to realize that's what it takes to have that power. I'm doing this because I had to learn this stuff. I thought my bike wasn't fast enough. I thought it needed all this stuff. That's when I learned about my power band and learning the power band for this bike specifically, because it's nothing like anything else. The power in these bikes from the factory is ridiculous. But too many people think their bike doesn't have enough power and they want to go right to a cam. They want to slap a cam in there, give it some more power, even though they don't really know how to control the power that they have already or really utilize that power. And that's why we go with tuners and exhausts and intakes and doing the research on there. The intake on this bike is not the best one. Honestly, I really could go for a better intake. The ventilator from Harley is not terrible, but it's not great compared to like an S&S Stealth or like an Arlen Ness Big Sucker. Also, you have to look at where you're using your power. You're going to be using a lot of your power band in the city because you want to get around traffic, get past people, blah blah blah, but you're going to be using that to get past that stuff. Don't utilize your power properly, then you're just wasting money, because you're going to get that big torque cam, you're going to get that horsepower cam, whatever, and you're not going to be utilizing your power as the best as you could. There we go. So how can you create more power within your Milwaukee 8? It's quite easy, just by changing my exhaust from like a Harley factory exhaust, which was dinky, to the one that actually matches up perfectly with my heads by using the Screaming Eagle Performance gaskets. I gained a lot of torque and power for this motorcycle. That's because I did my research and found stuff that was gonna work for it. Things like a stepped pipe, things like a 2-in-1. All these things are gonna help you gain power without having to spend that high dollar money that you would for a cam. Because honestly, if you have all this extra power, when are you actually ever going to use it? And that's why I love my Heritage. That's why I've done everything I've done to it. That's why I don't know when I'll go to a cam. I mean, what, S&S, if you're listening and you want to send me a tour cam, I'll gladly throw it in my motorcycle. For me right now, the way I ride and how I enjoy it, this is perfect. And for most people, it'd be perfect. If you are going to be that person that's going to be traveling, you don't need any more than a true, what I call true stage 1 on this bike, having the 2-in-1 from Dan Moto, having the Power Vision, having a 114, because it's got more than enough power for everyday riding, everyday use, and getting around the city or even on the highways. After I put this exhaust on my bike, I took it down the highway because I was headed home after I was getting it installed on the bike, or I guess helping install on, I don't know. The Norseman took over on that deal. I got to experience how this bike changed and how it pulls. In 5th gear, at 2,500 RPMs cruising down the highway, I hit the throttle and the bike kept pulling. These bikes have more than enough torque, more than enough power in them. You just have to understand where the power is being utilized, and that's what you need to figure out for your motorcycle specifically, is finding where the power is being utilized while you ride. That being said, on a Milwaukee 8 114 Heritage, if you do have one of these, you're gonna find that your power band is like 2,700 to 3,000 where it starts. Milwaukee 8s are happy going quickly. It's just the way they are. It's the way they're designed. When you have a good power band and understanding of that, that's why when you see me drag racing, how my times got so much better from when I started to where I ended last year. How I went from 16 seconds down to $12.99 or $13 just by learning how to ride the motorcycle. And that was with the Harley factory 2-in-2 exhaust, with the crossover, the tiny ass things, like it's just the way you learn. And once you learn your motorcycle, then start doing performance stuff to it. Don't jump on that train of just getting a cam in your motorcycle, because that's what everyone did with their twin cams, because the twin cam needed that cam or their cams to give them more power. A factory 107 versus a factory 103 is gonna smoke it. Even a cammed 103 versus a 107, it's still really close. A cammed 114, a 110 couldn't touch it. So once you understand everything that goes into your bike, not just what your buddies say, is where you get that added benefit of being able to ride and control and have that power for using whatever style you want, whether it's drag racing, going down the highway, having fun light to light with your buddies. And it'll really help you in the end to understand and ride your bike and really realize these Milwaukee 8s don't need more than a real stage 1. If you're just looking for that and you want to have more power and have fun, do it, because everyone that bolts a cam into their factory exhaust on these bikes is already restricted enough to where that cam's just making up for like lost space. Just because you throw a set of slip-ons and a cam in your bike doesn't make it that much better. It's not really breathing that much better. It's just forcing more air out through a small hole versus the amount it was before. But for now, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget, like I said, to leave a thumbs up. Hit that bell icon to be notified. And if you do like my content, hit that subscribe button down below. I love this heritage. I love the torque curve on it. I love the power it has just with it really a stage 1. I hope you all have a good night. And as always, I hope you have a great day, evening, night, morning, afternoon tea, brunch, lunch, nightcap, midnight snack, crumpet, McGriddle, bacon sandwich. And remember to always ride for freedom. Goodbye.
I'm going crazy. Lost inside of my mind. I'm facing my demons, feeling self-destructive.